Thank you for joining me for this webinar. We'll be talking today about maximizing your expo experience at the upcoming Quarter 9 495 Regional Chamber of Metro West Business Expo. You are taking advantage of an amazing opportunity to showcase your business, meet potential new customers or partners, and really gaining exposure and awareness for your business within the greater business community in our region. My name is Laura Zellman. I am a member of the Chamber as well as a member of our Programs Committee and Ambassadors Committee. And I have my own business, Laura Zellman Marketing, and I work with small business owners on building and nurturing relationships with their customers. And one of the ways that you can do that is through your participation in community events and networking conversations, such as those that will take place at the expo. So the structure of this webinar will be talking about preparing for the expo, during the expo, and then most importantly, in my opinion, what you do after the expo. And so we'll go through those different components today, help really prepare you for a successful event on April 14th. So you are going to want to do a significant amount of homework leading up to the show. This is a expo that is well organized, well run, and you'll see up to 1,000 attendees coming through during that 3-hour period. So you really want to be prepared to take advantage of that and make the most of it. So first things first, you want to review the event information. What time do you need to set up? Where are you setting up? What can you bring? What does your space look like? You'll receive that information from the chamber ahead of time with all of the details that you need. You're going to want to look through the attendee information, and a lot of them are chamber members, so you can take a look at the member directory, but a lot of them are general public from the region, business leaders, decision makers, other small business owners looking to make those connections. And so you want to take a look at that information ahead of time, including the list of other exhibitors, and identify who are the target conversations that you'd like to have while you're there. Who do you want to meet? Who of your ideal customers will be there or potential partners, and create that list for yourself before you get to the event. It's busy, it's fast paced, and the time will fly by. So the more that you can prepare ahead of time, the more successful you will be at the event. And in order to have a successful event, you really do need to define goals specific to the Business Expo. So what that looks like is setting specific measurable goals that are time bound. So let's say you're here as at the expo, you want to potentially sell memberships to your organization or to your business. So your idea would be to collect X amount of names at your table, follow up with them, and have, either the output is meetings, it's signups, whatever it might be. You're looking to have a specific goal to this event. Just saying, I'm here, I want people to know who I am, I want them to hear my name, that's something that is great that will happen, but you want to look at what's the return on your investment in participating in this expo. You want to say, okay, well, I signed up 3 new members as a result of this expo, or I booked 10 reservations at my hotel as a result. I have 6 people coming in to talk to me about commercial loans for their small business. Whatever those are, those should be aligned with your overall business goals. So if your goals for 2026 are to grow your customer base in a particular area, then your goal for this event should be to generate leads interested in that particular product or service. So you really want to take some time ahead of the event to think through who's going to be there. Who do I want to interact with? Who do I want to meet? Who do I want to connect with? And what are the goals that I have for this expo that I can tie back to my overall business goals so that I can see, is this a good return on my investment? And I would tell you that, year over year, exhibitors at this expo do find a significant ROI for participating. Not only awareness, goodwill, community engagement, but also those specific goals, those specific pieces of business that you're looking to accomplish while you're there. And you should have these written down, and everyone who will be with you at your booth or at your table should know what your goal is for the event and what we'll talk about this next. What talking points, what supports do you need to support achieving that goal? So as you're planning your booth and your experience, you want, as I say, to have that goal in mind. You want your visitor experience and everything on your table, from tablecloth to talking points, I like to say, to support that goal. So you can see in the images here, having branded materials, having it should align with your brand. Does your brand have set colors? Do you have a particular font? Do you have a feeling, a personality? Your booth should reflect that. This is a mini experience of what it's like to do business with you. And so you should design a visitor experience that reflects that. Are you a brand that is no nonsense, gets right to the point, make sure everyone has all the information that they need? Well, then your signage should be bold and clear and call out the things that you can do, that you offer. Are you fun and friendly and welcoming? Then you should have a display that invites people in. Perhaps your table is set a little bit further back and you're standing in front of it, to give people that experience of coming in and getting to meet you and having a conversation with you. So there's the little things that you want to think about as you're planning your show, planning your expo, is that it's an overall experience. And so your marketing materials should reflect what your goal is for the event. So yes, you do want to show the full width and breadth and depth of your expertise and your services, but perhaps at this show, you are focusing on one or two featured products or services that you think are most relevant in this situation. So what that means is that if you are hoping to sign people up for memberships, you have something clearly visible and on your table, as well as a takeaway that highlights that membership. If you're hoping to sign people up for your email newsletter or updates from your business, have that easily accessible, have that visible so that it's clear what you're just offering and what people can sign up for. So you want to think about how people are going to interact with your booth. Some people prefer to read and process the information before they have a conversation with you. Some people might have a visual impairment that they can't read it, so you want to be able to talk to them about it. Some people don't want to take papers, so have a QR code where they can download your information. And if you can, when they go to download that, have it request that they give you their email address in order to download the materials, so that you know that they stopped by. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. You should think about your online presence ahead of the event. If you're going to be talking about a particular product or service at the event, that should be featured and easily accessible on your website, on your social media, and all the places people might see you ahead of the show. There's an exhibitor list on the Chamber's website, and a lot of times attendees will go and make a list of the companies that they want to connect with. And many times they'll check out your LinkedIn, they'll check on your social media if that's available, and they will look at your website. So you want to ensure that the material you have online matches what your current business is offering. So that means making sure your headshot is up to date so that someone can recognize you when they show up at the expo. That means posting in the week or two ahead of the expo, so really in the next 2 to 3 weeks, posting so it looks like you're active. Whatever platform is relevant for your business, whether that is something like Instagram, or if your business is more geared towards LinkedIn, but have fresh content up there. It can just say that you're attending the event. Come see us at the expo. It could have a feature of what you're going to be sharing at the expo. Stop by our booth to, enter to win, to learn more about, to chat with us about how we can. Whatever that is should be reflected across the different platforms where people might find your business. And then really important is that your talking points support the goals that you have for the Business Expo. And this should be something that everyone who will be at your table knows. It could, print it out, have it on the table, send it out to your team ahead of time, let them know, hey, we have the expo coming up. We're really excited about connecting with people. This is what our goal is for the show. Here are some talking points that you want to make sure to hit on. Do you have a frequently asked questions document that you can refer to if you have a more technical business or products and services that your team that's at the event might not be as well versed in, but have that information up front available and ready to go to help you at the expo. And last on the list is follow-up preparation. It is a busy show. It is 3 hours of talking, of interacting, of overstimulation, really good food, a lot of fun. But when you get back to your desk the next day, you are probably going to be exhausted. So setting yourself up with follow-up emails and templates ahead of time can make a big difference in the speed with which you connect with people after. So spend a little bit of time crafting your emails that you want to send out. And you should craft one for general interest, one perhaps specific to the featured product and services you're offering, and whatever any other conversation follow-ups might be, so that you can plug that information when you get back to your desk. And we'll talk about that in the after the show section of this webinar. So during the show, as I mentioned, you want anyone who's at your table to be well versed in your talking points, in your goals, in your brand, in your business. And that can mean having a manual and checklist ahead of time for anyone who's coming so that they know what they're talking about. Or it could be something that's just on the table. Here's what we're talking about. Another thing to think about is it's a 3-hour expo, and there are over 100 other exhibitors in addition to you, and many of them are businesses that you would likely be interested in connecting with. So I would encourage you to have more than one person at your table if it is possible. It can be off-putting if you're the only one at your table and you're on your phone checking something, or you're eating a sandwich. There's some really good food at this event, but it makes it less appealing for someone to stop and talk to you because they don't want to interrupt you. You're going to need a bathroom break. You're going to want to walk around. So have at least a second person who could step in for you for half an hour, if not trade off time with you while you're there. And as I said, anyone who's at your table, make it easy for them to know what they should be talking about. Make sure they understand what's the goal for the event. What do we want to accomplish, and what are the supports that we need to do that? So that's you. I would encourage you to stand you can push your table all the way to the back and stand in front to make it more friendly, or to the side, whatever makes sense, in the back if that is more comfortable for you. But you want to be open and engaging and you're there to talk to people. You're there to do business. And it can be uncomfortable to, call out to people and say, hey, I want to stop by and learn more. But you're here. You've paid for your booth, and you want to make that return on your investment. And attendees that are there are all business people. They are all there to make connections and to learn more about you. And you should want to, make as many connections as you can. I will say that, as I mentioned, people process information differently. So as you're setting up your space, have things at different heights. Make sure things are visually accessible. The font size is large. It's not too scripted. There are things on the table that people can read or take away, so that they can know who you are. If you're thinking about promotional items, that's a great way to entice people to come over and talk to you. Everybody, especially me, loves a free pen. They love a good giveaway, but don't just have them out where people can grab them and go without talking to you. Ask them for a business card. Ask them, introduce yourself to them and ask them about what they do and find out how might you help them. If you have a business that offers samples, offer samples, a small bite, in exchange for a business card. Sign up for a giveaway. You can see in the image here, this is an accounting business. They had a guess the number of jelly beans in the jar contest to win a prize. So you're asking people to play a game. People love games. If you're planning your booth experience, games are always a big hit. And you're collecting contact information so that you can follow up with anyone who stopped by and interacted with you. So when you're having conversations during the show, as I said, everyone has a different comfort level in having conversations. If it was me, I would talk to people for the 3 hours straight and be totally energized. For other people, that's draining and exhausting. So if you know that about yourself, as I said, have another person who can help you in those conversations. Perhaps they're qualifying the person at the table by asking some open-ended questions and getting to know what they're interested in. And then they're saying, okay, that sounds great. Let me introduce you to my partner or my colleague, and they'll tell you more about this specific item. And then that person might be more comfortable just talking about, oh, this is what we offer. I'm really good at talking about our products and services. But maybe they're less comfortable with having that open-ended conversation with small talk. So those are some things to think about as you're planning your expo experience. But you want to engage the right people. And so in order to do that, you're going to need to ask some open-ended questions. You're going to need to know, who are they? What are they doing? And you're going to want to think about, so what do I have that can help them? How can I help them achieve what they want? And then you're going to be specific in what you can offer them in that regard. And you're going to say, it was so great to meet you. I really think that I can help you, be successful in your business by working with you on this area. And say, collect their card, write on their card, talked about this, or in your phone, take a note and tell them, hey, I'm going to jot this down in my notes that we talked about this. I'm going to follow up with you after the expo so we can have continue our conversation. So let them know to expect to hear from you. And so in order to have any power in the relationships you're starting to build here at the expo, you need to capture the prospect information for the people stopping by your table. The more you can get details about what you talk to them about, the better your follow-up success will be. And so, as I said, that could be taking a picture of their card and writing a note with it. It could be physically writing on their card. It could be having just a blank notebook on your table where you jot down the name, what they're interested in, what you talked about. But anything you can do to gather information about your conversation, I would encourage you to try to do after you talk to each person if you are able to. And this is where having someone else at the table. If you have a product or service you can use as a giveaway, like for example, I would give away a marketing power hour, which is a 1-hour consulting hour. I would collect cards and say at the end of the show, we're going to draw 2 names of people who are going to win a complimentary power hour with me. People will drop their card in, gives you the opportunity to follow up with them. And so the follow-up is really the most important piece, because really the Business Expo is your introduction. It is the start of your relationship with the people who stop by at your table. Yes, there are great success stories of someone came to the expo, they booked a $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 piece of business. That is amazing. That is something we all hope to do, is to like, make a sale on the spot. But in reality, it takes people and businesses a little bit more time to make a decision on their purchase or on their buying. So if you've heard that, in marketing, you might have, it takes 7 to 10 times for someone to see your message and your information before deciding to make a purchase. Well, this is similar. This is, if someone doesn't know you and your business and your brand, this is their first introduction for you to you. This is an opportunity for you to say, "Hey, this is who I am. This is how I can help you. Let's start a relationship and talk about how we might work together. How can I partner with you? How can I help you in your business?" And so in order to do that, you have to think of this as the start of that relationship, and you have to nurture that relationship. And it is not a, "Hey, you stop by at my booth, buy my products." It's, "Hey, you stopped by my booth. It was so great to meet you. I'd love to learn more about what you do in your business. Could we set up a one-on-one? Could we go out for coffee? Will you be at the next chamber event and we can connect a half an hour ahead of time?" Whatever that might be, that is something that you really want to think through. And so when you get done with the expo, you're going to have a stack of cards. You're going to have that notebook. You're going to have photos in your phone or across your team, whatever that might be. And you're going to want to record that information. And so, you need to record it. You need to decide what information you're recording. How do you want to follow up with the people? And then how do you start to nurture that relationship from here? And so here are some things I would suggest. Number one, their name and their company, any contact information, including if you can ask them to follow you on social, if that's something that you do in your business. Did you get their website? And then whatever system you're using, you're going to want to include the date you met them, that you met them at the Q9 495 Expo, any of those notes that you jotted down about the conversation, and then make sure that they're tagged, what's ever relevant to you. So you can see over here, at a booth, you could have a display that shows QR codes to have people follow you in the various places. This would be a website, Instagram, a Facebook. Depending on your email CRM system, you might be able to generate a QR code that goes to a form for them to add themselves to your mailing list, to your contact list. So you would see that, a name, first, last, what the source is. In this case, it would be the Q9 495 Expo, and we might tag them as a prospect. Depending on your sales process, you might tag them differently. It might be a prospect for a particular product. It could be, a collaborator or a partner, whatever that might be. But the more information that you are able to include in this system, the more successful you can be in your follow-up communications. And so as you're following up, you're going to want to decide what you're sending based on your goal for the communication. And so that goes back to your event goals. What was it that you were hoping to get the people who talked to you to do? What were you looking to achieve? And so you're going to want to, if you think about it, there are 100 exhibitors, and someone might, in those 3 hours, drop their business card in 75 buckets. If every one of the exhibitors is going to send an email to them after the event and say, "It was so great to have you stop by my booth. Please, do this," or "Here's what I offer." The way that you can stand out in your follow-up is by establishing a connection and a familiarity. So, and that goes back to the information that you did your best to collect during the event. So, "It was great to meet you. We talked about this. I really loved hearing about how you like to go fishing," whatever it might be that you talked about. Put that in the message. And make it easy for them to understand what you're asking. "It was so great to meet you. I love talking to you about this part of your business. could we set up a meeting? Here's a link to my calendar. If that's, what you're looking to do to continue the conversation. If it is more specific, like, hey, you dropped your card in the bucket to learn more about our memberships, click the link below to see our membership special for this month, or to hear about our member benefits, whatever that might be. Make a clear and easy call to action so that they know what you're expecting, and make it time bound. Click this link. I'd love to meet with you in the next 2 weeks. Here's a link to my calendar with my open dates. Whatever that might be. You're going to want to share a little bit more about your business and offer those ways to engage. Ideally, you're going to get this out within 48 hours of the event because you've set the drafts up ahead of time and they're ready to go. And really all you're plugging in is their name, their contact information, and those personal details that you've collected to make it a more appealing email, if that makes sense. And if you, again, think about that, any attendee at this expo is going to be getting 50, 75 emails afterwards. You can send that initial email within 48 hours, and then maybe a week later, send a follow-up email that says, hey, I know it must have been crazy last week after the expo. I'd really love to get to know you more. Just wanted to check in again. Okay. Depending on the contact and the information that you've collected, you could also follow up with a phone call if it's a relationship you're really interested in nurturing. And, depending on, some people, depending on the nature of their business, text is an option as well. Just know that unless you've explicitly told people when they drop their information with you, you can't just add them to your newsletter subscription list or your email marketing list. They need to know that they've opted in to your larger marketing communications list. You can do that. Oftentimes what I will do is include in my follow-up email a link to say, if you'd like to keep in touch, or would you like to join my mailing list, so that they can opt in to that mailing list. So that's something important you should think about when you're collecting information and when you're adding people to your email list, ongoing email marketing communications, that you do need, really do need that explicit opt-in to the marketing emails. So as we wrap up, just want to talk again about really the expo is an opportunity for you to showcase your brand, your business, your expertise to the regional business community. And in order for you to be the most successful, you need to have clear goals ahead of the event and align your booth design, experience, and overall interactions and your follow-ups with those goals in mind. Everything should be focused on what that goal will be. That should drive your expo experience. I can't stress enough that you need to capture the information for everyone that you talk with. So this includes anyone coming to your table to talk to you and engage with you, but also you should take the opportunity to walk the floor, meet other businesses, meet other exhibitors. Out in the hallway, there'll be some great nonprofits and other businesses, but make sure that you connect with as many people as you can within this expo time frame. You have those 3 hours. It's everyone in one place, looking to do business with community partners, community businesses in our region. So take advantage of that and capture as much information as possible. Now you will get, as an exhibitor, you will get information from the chamber about who's attending. Again, sort of that blanket email isn't going to be as effective for you as those personalized communications. And so really trying to get those is essential to maximizing your experience. And follow up with people, follow up with them again, keep an eye out for them at upcoming chamber events, look and see if they have events coming up that you can attend. But really everyone, and if you think about the way that you do business, the volume of emails you receive or the number of communications that are out there, it's easy to overlook an email. It's easy to overlook something the first time, and there's no, unless you're spamming someone like every other day, there's really no harm in sending another note to connect and tell them that, hey, I really think that you have something important that I'd like to learn about. So there's really, I think following up is key, and trying to build those relationships is key. And that's going to serve you well for this expo, because you do want to share what you are doing with the people you meet, and you want to engage them with your business. The expo is exciting. It's fun. There's amazing food. There's always great prizes, always great games, and it is a wonderful way to experience the breadth of companies and industries in the Q9 495 Regional Chamber of Metro West membership in our region. And I wish you the best of luck this year with your expo booths. And I can't wait to see the photos and hear about the experiences that you've had and the successes you've had as a result of the expo. If you are looking for any support, I am always able to chat with you. I also would love to start a relationship with you as a chamber member and exhibitor. So please feel free to reach out to me to set up a coffee or a walk and talk or connect before an upcoming chamber event. And I look forward to meeting you soon.